As a home winemaker, some of the greatest pleasure you can have is trying new varieties and exploring new regions and styles of wine. And once every year, something happens that lets you do that in style. Hi, I'm Tim Vandergrift, your technical winemaking advisor, and this is Limited Edition 2014. Limited Edition is a very special program. Wine Expert makes 5 different wines, and what makes them so unique is that they come from regions that normally aren't accessible to home winemakers. And they're varietals you may not have heard of before, but they're all absolutely wonderful. Now, limited edition means you have to pre-order the kits because they only appear once. After that, they're gone forever, and you'll want them because they are excellent. This year's limited lineup in January is a Shiraz Viognier from Australia's Riverland region. It's hot, it's arid, and the grapes grow absolutely ripe and delicious. The second variety in January is a German Moselle Valley Riesling. Germany's Moselle Valley is very far north. It gets lots of sunshine hours, but the nights are very cool, which makes for crisp, very sharp, delicious grapes. In February, the second red is the Washington Yakima Valley Triumph. It's a Meritage-style blend of Cabernet Sauvignon, Cabernet Franc, and Merlot, making a very rich wine of structure, tannin, and elegance. In March, it's the California Lake County Trio Blanca. Trio Blanca means 3 whites, and it's Chardonnay, Chenin Blanc, and Moscato. This wine not only is crisp and flavorful, but the flavors will evolve over time as each variety expresses itself. In April, we finish with an Italian Super Tuscan. Tuscany produces some of the world's most famous wines, including Chianti. Super Tuscans blend the Sangiovese grape with Cabernet Sauvignon for a wine that takes the best of the old world and mixes it with the new. January's red, the Shiraz Viognier, comes from South Australia's Murray-Darling Valley in the Riverland. And Riverland is an apt name. Despite it being almost arid and very, very hot, which is good for ripening grapes, the Murray River that flows through it cools the landscape down at night, so the grapes retain their acidity and their clean fruit. Although this is an Australian wine, it's inspired by the winemaking style of the Rhone Valley of France. Shiraz is a very dark red grape. It has good tannin, but not overpowering. It's got red berry fruit and spicy finish. Viognier is actually a white grape. It's highly aromatic, almost perfumed, with notes of apricot, jasmine, and honey. It also has a little bit of stone fruit in it as well. Now, it seems odd to make a red wine by adding a white grape to it, but that little bit of perfume lifts up the whole wine, making it very elegant and delicate. While this wine drinks very well on its own, it's also an excellent pairing with food. Rich meat dishes, grilled lamb, hamburgers, even ribs will pair up nicely. Vegetarian option, a grilled portobello mushroom burger would be absolutely beautiful. It's going to age nicely in your cellar, but you don't have to wait too long before it's ready to drink. January's white is the Moselle Valley Riesling. Germany's Moselle Valley is just about as far north as you can comfortably ripen grapes, but it has really steep slopes in the river valley which face southward to catch the maximum amount of sunlight. With long daylight hours, the grapes ripen fully, but the cool air keeps them from losing their acidity. So this Riesling is crisp, it's bright, and it has a great acidity on the tongue. This wine has classic Riesling character. Bright apple, citrus, zesty notes, and a hint of the soil of the Moselle Valley, a little bit of limestone character. While it is crisp, it has a softer finish that is very long and very elegant. It's an excellent food wine. Schnitzel, white fish, grilled shrimp skewers, absolutely lovely. On the other hand, it'll be great on the patio on a bright sunny day. February's red is the Yakima Valley Triumph. Coming from Washington State, these grapes are grown just on the other side of the Cascade Mountain Range, which separates the Pacific coast from the interior of Washington. With its very warm, dry air, cool nights, and the Yakima Valley for irrigation, the grapes can ripen absolutely perfectly. The 3 grapes in this wine reflect the grand tradition of Bordeaux in France. First, Cabernet Sauvignon gives tannin, structure, and complexity. But along with it, it brings black currant and blackberry fruit. Cabernet Franc adds a peppery note and red fruit undertones. Merlot rounds out the fruit character, bringing warm black cherry notes and a lovely plumminess to the finish. Together, the three grapes form a structure that gives you a strong, tannic wine of elegance, length, and power. Triumph is a well-structured wine that'll pair beautifully with food. You want to go for rich, hearty dishes, grilled meats, steaks, stews, things like that. It'll be brilliant with well-aged cheddar, and if you're a vegetarian, something like a grilled portobello mushroom will be absolutely wonderful. March's wine is the Lake County Trio Blanca. California's Lake County has a brilliant microclimate for growing grapes. It's far enough inland and in the hills that it has wonderful slopes, great position for sunshine, and good drainage. On the other hand, it's close enough to the coast for the cooling Pacific breezes to come in late afternoon and keep the grapes from getting overcooked in the heat. This results in perfectly ripe, perfectly rich grapes. Trio Blanca refers to the three white grapes in this blend. Chardonnay, with its notes of apple and melon, brings the front of the wine. Chenin Blanc, with good aromatics and a lovely, almost honeydew sort of a note to it, holds up the middle. And Moscato is the wonderful grapey grape fruit that makes this easy and delicious to drink. Off dry, but not overly sweet, this is an excellent wine for pairing with food. Look for heavier white meats. Roasted turkey or maybe duck would work well. You could also go with heavily flavored South Asian cuisines, curries, things like that. It'll stand up to them well. On the other hand, you don't need to pair it with anything. I think the best pairing for this is going to be a patio, an umbrella, some sunshine, and friends. Limited edition 2014 finishes in April with an Italian Super Tuscan blend. Tuscany is the most beautiful wine-growing country in the world. Situated in central Italy, it gets both the warm days and the long sunshine of Italy and the cooling influence of the Mediterranean all around it. While Tuscany has a long tradition of wine growing, Super Tuscan wines are rebellious. Back in the 1970s, winemakers who were in the Chianti region of Tuscany wanted to make their own style and forge their own path. Rather than using the traditional grapes, they blended their Sangiovese Grosso grape with Cabernet Sauvignon. This led to an entirely new kind of wine, which they called Super Tuscan. Cabernet Sauvignon brings the black currant, the blackberry, and firm tannin to the wine, while Sangiovese gives a wonderful bright red cherry note, length, and delicacy at the same time. Italy is the land of food and wine, and this Super Tuscan is an excellent example of that. It'll pair well with richly flavored, very deep dishes, like spaghetti bolognese or osso buco. I think it's going to go particularly well with a nice wedge of Asiago cheese. The wines of limited edition 2014 form a harmonious blend. In them you have a rich, fruit-forward, powerful red, the Shiraz Viognier. You have a dry, beautifully elegant white. It's the Riesling from the Moselle Valley. You also have a full-bodied, very structured tannic red. That's the Triumph from the Yakima Valley. You have a softer, lush, fruit-forward white, which is the Lake County Trio Blanca. And finally, you wind up with something that has a little more delicacy and elegance and length to it. That's the Super Tuscan. If you make all 5 of these wines, you'll have the core of a brilliant cellar. Those are the wines of limited edition 2014. Remember, limited edition is limited, so make sure that you get your order in on time. I'm Tim VANDERGRIFT, your technical winemaking advisor.